Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to discuss with you why it can be difficult for fearful avoidants to sustain emotional intimacy in relationships. Hi, I just wanted to jump in here really quickly and let you know that we are doing one of our most exciting promotions that we do during the entire year. And it is our lifetime promotional sale. So basically the lifetime membership to the Personal Development School gives you access to all of the 55 plus courses we've ever recorded. And I record a new course and create new content every single month, and it will give you access to all future courses. It also gives you access to all of the daily community events. We have group shares, social events, guided meditations, guided morning and evening routines, communication scripts practice for communicating through challenging situations, and the 4 live webinars that I do with our students every single week. So at any point when you have a question, you're able to jump in there, ask me a question, and we have a history of webinars on a whole bunch of different topics. So it's basically endless content. And the really nice thing about the lifetime promotion is not only do you get to continuously learn for life, so that gives you the safety and comfort of knowing that you can rely on anything that you need in terms of going through a challenging situation, be it a breakup, be it a really rocky time in your romantic relationship with somebody. If you're looking to work on boundaries, some sort of change in the workplace, we've got courses for that as well. So there's all these resources at your fingertips for life, and that promotion is going on right now. You can click the link below for almost 50% off, and I would love to see you on the other side. Come join me in the webinars, come ask me questions, and thank you for watching this. So I know what you're thinking. You are thinking, what? Fearful avoidants are so good at being emotionally intimate in relationships. And this is true at the beginning. And fearful avoidance has this really innate ability to be very present in early stages of relationships. And presence is actually a massive building block that creates emotional intimacy. When we're present, it's almost like we're giving our own form of attunement, or is sort of this indirect form of like unconditional love. We're really with you where you're at, right? And that's what brings that like deeper connection. But what happens next with fearful avoidance is that they tend to get into this dynamic where they go on, and as this vulnerability happens, as this connection happens between two parties, it skews to become a one-way connection. And the reason for this is actually often because of the fearful avoidant's own internal programming, though it is very easy as a fearful avoidant to think that it's more about the other person in the relationship. And of course, it can be that too, but there's some really valuable lessons the fearful avoidant can learn that will help level up relationships and the way you relate to other people, so that you can feel seen and heard and connected to and loved, and also so that you can sustain emotional intimacy across time. So let's start with the 2 building blocks of intimacy when it comes to emotions. 2 major ones, at least. There are definitely others, but 2 of the biggest, most fundamental ones, and as they relate to the fearful avoidant, are presence and vulnerability. Okay. Of course, there are other things like emotional literacy, like the more we can, put our own feelings into words and things like that, and communication. Like there's other really important building blocks to emotional intimacy, but at its core, if we can't get the vulnerability and the presence part, then everything else is basically irrelevant after that. So what happens is fearful avoidants often get into relationships and they're really good at giving their presence to others and often engaging other people to become present with them. And so that can start things off on the right foot. But fearful avoidants are terrified of being truly vulnerable. They're really good at being vulnerable about things that don't actually feel vulnerable to them, but may look vulnerable from the outside. So for example, like maybe a fearful avoidant will share a childhood memory that they have that's kind of like deep or things like that. And because fearful avoidants have this natural depth about them, that may get confused with vulnerability, and their need or interest in exploring sort of deeper topics of conversation and philosophical opinions and ideas and things like that, that can get confused with vulnerability. But the things that fearful avoidants actually truly feel afraid of, insecure about, concerned about, they have a core wound around these things, fearful avoidants will generally keep really close to their chest. Like they really won't want to open up about these actually vulnerable things. And so what happens is this actually stunts the growth of emotional intimacy in a relationship at a certain point. And not only that, But it goes from stunting the growth to also having the fearful avoidant feel disempowered, because they're really good generally at getting other people to open up. One of the reasons being that they have a huge need for depth and also transparency and context in relationships. So when they understand you, they feel safer and they feel like they can trust. And so they're really good at like getting their needs met by getting all that information out of the other person, but then they're not really sharing actually vulnerable, intimate things about themselves. And so generally what happens is it starts off really strong, this connection, but as a connection is supposed to progress through the different stages, it's like the growth gets stunted, where the fearful avoidant doesn't feel like the person they're relating to or attaching to or connecting with is really knowing about them. And they don't realize a lot of the time it's because of these subconscious self-protection modes around this fear of actually opening up and being truly vulnerable. So they will think that the other person doesn't ask about their needs or doesn't look out for them or doesn't really care to dig deeper, or, or doesn't mind read their fear or their vulnerability. And then they'll feel like unseen, misunderstood, frustrated, and they'll feel like they're taken advantage of ultimately. And like there's this one-sided connection or one-sided relationship. And then the fearful avoidant tends to respond to that by withdrawing even further. And it becomes this like vicious cycle that actually can be like a breakdown of a relationship, where then the fearful avoidant may leave the relationship all of a sudden, or express anger or hostility or frustration towards their attachment partner. And so all of these things are actually happening beneath the surface, and they are changeable, but they start with that first step of awareness. And so if you're struggling with vulnerability, if you're like really not in a good space with vulnerability around those truly vulnerable things, what I highly recommend doing is taking some time and coming into PDS. And you can do a course, and it's available for free for 7 days. And it's called the Emotional Mastery and Belief Reprogramming course. And it allows you to dig deep into what your fears truly are and really isolate and identify them. It could be that vulnerability gives your power away, or vulnerability makes you weak, or vulnerability will make you helpless, or vulnerability will be good until somebody breaks your trust, and then it'll be really painful. Like you can have these beliefs that really block you. And you can have sort of needs that you're not recognizing, like things that you would need to feel safe being vulnerable. That once you understand those two things, you'll then be able to bring into a relationship and communicate about and share with a partner and recondition those core wounds, so you also don't feel afraid. And that's actually what will allow you to sustain emotional intimacy going forward and to deepen that connection in a two-way street, so that when you're in a relationship, it doesn't just feel like it's all about you connecting to that person and their feelings and their needs, but also that that person truly sees you and gets you and understands you, because you are giving them the information they need to understand you, which is such a block for fearful avoidance as they get later on into a relationship generally. So anyways, it's actually a huge part of progressing through the power struggle stage of a relationship as well, is to be able to do this work. So I hope this makes sense. I thought it was a really valuable topic for today. And if you are enjoying this channel and getting some good learnings and information, please subscribe, please like and share the video. And I will see you in tomorrow's video as well.